we're going to start today with talking about ADUs here in San Diego. So we've talked about this a lot. So before you switch off, okay? No, there's actually some dissenting opinion about.
It was crazy.
Yeah, so not everyone is on board, and I understand their reasons, but I also understand the proponents of saying no, this is really good. So this is from the San Diego Union Tribune, so it's local here to us in San Diego. Should San Diego rework its ADU bonus program? So most people don't even know that there is a bonus program, which is basically build as many as you can on the spot, on the available space. So I want to know what you think about this. I know we're going to talk about some of the details, but what do you think about this bonus program? Is it a pro? Is it a con? Where do you kind of find yourself?
For me, I love it. I think it's a great thing. It's a great, since the developers aren't actually developing out there as fast as, one can. I think California bringing this ADU program, it's a good thing for investors. So many of you who do not know what an ADU is, an accessory dwelling unit. So nowadays, you can create your garage, a 2-car garage, into a 1-bedroom, a studio, and then rent that out. That helps homeowners. Well, the ADU encourages new homeowners to want to do that, to bring in a little more income to help them offset their current expenses.
Yeah, to alleviate demand in our market where there's just not enough units. And I think I kind of fall. Is there a middle in here? I want to say I fall in the middle of this because I understand the need to meet the demand. We need more units, and we need them to be affordable units. Well, how do we do that if developers aren't going to build, or we're out of land, or accept? Okay, well then we have to use existing spaces.
Correct.
And then how do we convert some of that? Remember back in the day, people would buy apartment complexes and do a condo conversion.
Yep.
This is basically that, but on the more micro scale, maybe one garage at a time or one lot that gets additional units at a time. So I think that it's useful, but it does create its problems as well. I know they're mentioning parking is one of them, but that's not the only issue. It's honestly not the only issue.
I mean, it's a little bit of everything, right? I mean, ADUs have been in existence forever. I remember going to friends' houses and their garage was converted into already a livable space. Extra bedroom, kind of like that black sheep kid, right? Put them out over there in the garage. So let's make them a bedroom over there.
And for those of you who love your family member, the granny flat,
granny flat,
but
right?
The black sheep room or the granny flat.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, these things already have popularity a long time ago. The only difference is before it was very costly to do. And so people would just take the initiative just doing it themselves. But when they're looking to do an appraise or anything, they had to remove the stove out of there. So they were doing things illegally. Now is the right time to do everything legally. And now you're able to do that. It's powerful.
You're suggesting there's a time to do things legally and illegally.
Yeah,
now's the time to do it legally.
Yeah, here's the point of being with that. Is what people don't understand, if there's a fire that's caught in that place that's not legally permitted, most of the time insurance companies will not insure because fires, it's not this is illegally done with no permits. We're going to stay right there and confine ourselves there, right? It's going to go into the next area. And so if it burns the other house, it's that wasn't our fault.
Yeah, the fire has no conscience of what part it's burning.
Exactly. So
it's an indiscriminate burner.
That's right. So I always encourage people to just do the things the right way. It states here the popularity of the program has picked up significantly with 787 ADUs approved last year under the incentive. I don't know what incentive is, because I'm going through it. I didn't get incentivized as an investor. It was I still paid high money for the permits, and I'm in 2 school districts, so I had to go to Eastlake and Chula Vista and pay dues to them, for our permits. It says, however, anti-density groups have argued the large ADU projects destroy community character and create parking nightmares.
So what I was hoping to do is I noted a couple things that I kind of agree with, and then some things I disagree with. So can I share some of those with you?
Yeah,
you can
please.
be you agree or disagree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thumbs down.
So thumbs up. Yeah, thumbs down, thumbs up. Okay. So one of the first guys here was so the question posed to all these people who answered this was, should San Diego rework its ADU bonus program? First guy, no. All programs can be included, so can be improved. So my answer could be yes. So he's basically saying no because he just thinks, okay, well, that can be improved. That's dumb. So smaller lots equal more density, no matter how it's provided. Now, this next guy is should they rework the ADU program? This guy's no, because building additional housing should be a high priority for the city. Agree. Building more housing should be a high priority for the city. Any argument there?
Yeah, no.
No? Okay. Should it be reworked? Yes, because building more supply is key to bringing prices down. Do we agree with that or not agree with that?
Yeah.
But do you think it'll happen? Because I understand the economic theory. We talk about supply and demand a lot, right?
Supply and demand, correct.
I understand the economic theory, but do you think that would happen?
I mean, if we build fast enough and we're still not building it, but yeah.
Okay. So the other point they were making as kind of an attachment to that was allowing multiple ADUs, not just one or two on single properties, should be reconsidered. So do you agree or disagree that should be like allowed, or do you think you should put more than two on the lot that your main house is on?
Yeah, if the square footage allows it to. And so every property, different properties have different zonings, right? And so some allow you to be 1% of your FAR, your floor area ratio. And then there's other zonings that do 1 1/4, right? And so what you do is you go to your let's say it's at 1 1/4, you multiply that by the square footage of your lot, and that's what you're able to build in square footage. So that could equate to, 3 units, 4 units. And as long as you have the space, well, why not? Don't we build that here when you go to East Lake here and there's, 10 units or townhomes? I mean, they're doing it.
Yeah. So
what's the difference?
So part of it is contingent on your available space of your
Absolutely.
lot that's not currently occupied by your house. Your house size has a part to play in this.
Yeah.
If you have a big sprawling house that's a single story and taking up most of your square footage, well, you're going to be able to have less on there.
Yeah.
Or you got a 2-story place that has a lot of open space in the backyard. You could probably put a couple.
Exactly.
So
the way they're making it seem here is, remember, all these ADU rules that are coming in with different zonings of different homes, they're able to build a certain amount. The city understands what it looks like. It's not like they're just kind of throwing things together and let's see what it looks like. There's planning ahead of it. Somebody can't build their home right now within 2 months. It's virtually impossible for somebody to build that quick because you have an inspector that has to come and inspect everything. And then you have to provide plans before you get an approval with the city. You have to show where your parking is going to be, if some areas require the parking, and if some don't. Let me tell you this. There is a project in South Park right now in San Diego. They built, I want to say, like 40 units, right? And so the parking's limited. Guess what property is not selling right now? Now that the investor's looking to turn it and sell it, he's having a hard time.
Really?
Yes, because there's no parking. Other investors that are looking to buy into that, they're like, wait a minute, we're going to have issues here.
Wow.
So that's the problem that an investor can face too, and rethink, I should have done underground parking.
Yeah. So there's one I saw actually in North Park probably a couple of weeks ago, and it looked like it was maybe 200 to 400 units.
Yeah.
And there is no parking at all. Like it's like some of those places that are downtown where it's like, no, this is a live work space, or not live work, but I mean, you're going to live in the building and you work nearby, like near enough to take your walk or to take your bike or even take an Uber for those days. You got to go a little further out of that space. But the I'm going to say this word, the forced behavioral shift.
Yeah.
Seems like that's the mentality they took when they were like going to build this. Like, well, people who are going to live here are going to just have that lifestyle.
Yeah. And then now you just narrow down the kind of person that you're going to get right there. If you put them to rent, you're going to get that certain type of renter that's going to like to walk, a far distance. That's okay. That says, hey, I'm tired. I'm getting out of work. I'm getting here at 6, 7, 8 at night. And now I have to walk because I have to park like 3, 4, 5 blocks away. Yeah. You're going to have a special type of tenant now. Yeah,
and I think it does require there's some different, for you and me, it might be a little bit of a different lifestyle change because, I have kids who are, I still drive some of them. You have grandkids now and your kids are dropping off your kids. So like there's other things, that maybe don't suit our life that it might suit someone that lives in that area.
A single person probably, but somebody has family,
work from home,
kids, we like convenience. That's just not going to be our cup of tea there.
All right, so the next thing is to agree, disagree. The biggest problem the local economy faces is a high cost of housing.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so another one was density. So I wanted to bring this up because supposedly a lot of people think that more density is good and needed as long as it's someone else's neighborhood. Oh. You heard the acronym NIMBY?
NIMBY. Not
in my backyard?
Yeah, of course. Rich people, right?
Right. I don't know, but that's why I'm asking you. No. I'm not saying it's only rich people because you can go to other parts of town where maybe they're not as rich, but they're like, hey, you're blocking my view. Yeah. Rich or not rich. You live on the west side of Chula Vista or Imperial Beach, and you're looking at the horizon without a 2-story building in your backyard. Now all of a sudden it is. So So this is where I'm like, what do we do? What do we do about people who are like, hey, now my view that I think is a part of value of my house is obstructed?
Yeah. Now let me rebuttal that. All right. When I say rich, is the rich, they just have multiple. Yeah, they'll have acres and they'll just have a big home, and they live in a certain place because they don't want to be obstructed from their views. So they're very, like cautious of that. Wealthy people, like even in our East Lake area and stuff like that, this area, which is considered more suburb, people want that space, and so they don't want to be obstructed with their view. But therefore, now they're very cautious. Like we have an HOA that's going to allow you where you can build. And if your home is in the front, they don't allow you to build, from your front to your front door over to the street. It's just not possible. You're going to have to build in the back. So if you're the homeowner, you want to build in the back, your view won't be obstructed, but they're in the back, they will, And so, yes, I mean, I hear a lot of that where a lot of people are like, well, my neighbor's going 2 stories high. Like, what's going on now? I can't sit in my pool, and bathe, with my Speedo. Well, that's your problem, right? Go get abs or whatever.
It
you
seems
probably
like
wouldn't
a very
mind.
specific example, but
Because we heard that was one in San Diego. It was funny, and it came out on the TV and everything. And he mentioned it, like, I can't go and bathe on my Speedo anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you probably don't have a 6-pack, Because if you had it, you'd probably be like, look at me, right?
The neighbors are like, mission accomplished.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, these things are happening, Andy, and these things, will continue to happen. And so just because of that, it shouldn't, change the mindset of that investor that's looking to create affordable housing for others. And, because these people need it. And we already know we need it here.
So so attached to that is this whole, cost. Sometimes it can be cost prohibitive. Obviously, if someone has a lot of equity in their house, they're saving a lot of cash. Then okay, you can convert the garage, build a second story, or build another unit in the back, or 2 units in the back. So, do you think that there should be some sort of cost mitigation when it comes to fast tracking permitting costs or fees and expenses? Do you think there should be some sort of compensation for the school, like you mentioned the school district fees a little bit ago? Should they be like decreased to try to encourage more people to build? Like what do you think are some good ways?
So they
to
do.
that?
That's a great question, and they do. They do. If you're building under 500 square feet, they minimize the cost of your permits and stuff like that. They do. But most people aren't just going to do a garage now. Because they're really encouraging you to do that bonus, and so now you have to go a little further and beyond. For instance, I'm doing the 2 ADUs in Chula Vista and my mother-in-law's old property that we purchased. And we're adding 1,800 square feet. We're adding additional. It's going to be 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and downstairs 2-bedroom, 1 bath upstairs. And so if you look at the permits and the cost of all that, it was like $26,000. That's with
just for the permits.
Just for the permits. And we already know the average homeowner may not have that. It's not easy just to come up with a big chunk of change like that. Then you have to put the architect work right there, which is another $8,000 to $9,000, and then you have a engineer report. A lot of times that's about another $2,000 to $4,000. So, it can get costly. It can get all the way to like anywhere from $35,000 to $40,000 in just permits and architect work.
So do you think that because there's so many cost variables that go in, like you have labor and then material and all that too. So do you think that having some sort of compensation, I don't mean like subsidy for permits, but that they could be maybe less costly, would that be useful?
It would be very useful. It would give even more so encouragement for the average homeowner to go in there and just be encouraged to do these things.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I know that sounds like a stupid question where you're like,
no, it's not.
Would it costing less would be helpful? Yes, of course it is. What I mean is, but if it were to cost less, do you think this would bring people off the sidelines?
Absolutely.
And commit to actually building some more space.
Yeah. I mean, when we heard about the ADU in 2020, it brought us out. It brought us like, hey, we can convert now.
Fair point. No, you're right. That was, I remember.
No, and I get it. No, I get what you're saying, but it's very true. A lot of people don't know that. So it's very very valid question to ask. The only thing is, as this becomes more popular, the delay in getting your permits approved and all that have the tendency of being delayed a little longer than expected.
Yeah. And one of the things that I don't know, because they didn't mention it, because this is more of a survey and results kind of topic. But one of the things I don't know is how backlogged they are as the popularity of building ADUs has really grabbed on. Because, you talked about the inspector a minute ago. It's like, okay, well, let's say they have like 20 inspections to do this week. Well, but then they knocked off those 20, and there's 30 more that just got added. So I don't know how long that tail is growing of upcoming inspections because of the popularity that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So.
What I did like right here with Ray Major, economist, it says, they asked him the question about the whole ADU. He says the current ADU bonus program has proven to be disastrous policy, destroying our long-standing communities in the process. The program needs to be stopped immediately and reevaluated.
It's a pretty firm
Bro,
position.
I was like...
Well, yeah, and that's great. But what I want to know is, like, what are the things you want to have changed?
Yeah.
Because there's certain things you get and you give up when you get something. You give up something, you're going to get something. You get something, you're going to give up something. And so and it's not always equal.
No.
I think that, that one of the other respondents, and I didn't mention it, but here we go. It was like, we'd love to have this, this, and that, as long as it works out for everybody. It's like, you're not going to make everybody happy. Yeah. It's not going to happen. But the idea that, the city needs more housing is the prominent point.
Yeah.
And then how you do that is where all these arguments come from. It's got to look a bunch of different
exactly
ways.
Just like anything else, you have people who are for it, against it. I myself, I'm for it, because if we really think about that, about what the future is going to hold, right? You just mentioned earlier, I have a grandkid. So for me, Andy, is it going to be easier for them to finance their home when they get to an age where they want to purchase a home, or is it going to be harder?
Well, it'll be harder in the marketplace, but because they have Papa Nemo, it'll probably be easier.
See, so the reason why
I'm going to make your grandkids call you Papa Nemo.
Papa Nemo. So the reason why I started, building and putting myself in the inner circles of other investors that do ADUs and bigger, larger projects is because the way I look at it is, instead of them buying a home at 500, 600 a square foot, what if I can build at 200, at 250? That just saves me half. That becomes more affordable for my grandchild, my kids to get into a property, right? So now I'm just trying to break a different tradition of doing things.
Well, and all the while tucking those inside your personal portfolio and your trust, and that it becomes theirs anyways, right? So
absolutely,
you're basically self-fulfilling the things that they're going to self-inherit.
Exactly,
which is super smart.
You know what? It's hard when you're going through it. Everybody thinks, "Whoa, you're building. It's great." Like, trust me. Trust me.
That's when you're watching it from the screen. Oh, it looks amazing.
You have to do due diligence. You have to have the right team. You have to have the right project manager. Like, there's so much in place. But if anybody ever has questions with that, especially here, if you're locally, please don't hesitate. Give me a call and, pick my brain.
Like most things that are worth doing, it is not without its challenges.
That's exactly. But it's fun. It's fun. I just went yesterday to preview it, and I'm like, second story's going up. It feels good. It's like, this is pretty cool.
Those pictures are awesome. I can't wait to share them with everybody.